رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. This is Surah Tahreem, Surah Tahreem, the last surah of Juz 28, and it has a background in the beginning which will explain why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned first few ayat. It's called Tahreem. Tahreem means to make something haram. So Takbir at-Tahrima, we call the beginning Takbir when we say Allahu Akbar. So we physically demonstrate with our hands saying, I've put everything behind. I've made all the halal haram, which was halal while I was not praying, like talking, eating, moving around, looking around, not halal anymore. So I just made it haram. So this is why this takbir is wajib, is fard, is the rukun of your prayer. So Allahu Akbar with your physical demonstration, and you say it to making things haram upon you which you were allowed. Ihram means same thing. You make things haram. Perfume, stitched clothes, like sewn in a body shape, covering your head, covering your feet, your face, not permissible. The many things which are not permissible. Sewn clothes are not worn during ihram. So that's why it's called the state of ihram. So tahreem, what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had made certain things haram on him in order to please some of his wives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this incident. There are two basic reports which are mentioned in certain ahadith. The one in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, they are the obviously most authentic one. Hence, the Ummah has taken that as a priority over the other. Although if you look at all the Mufassirun, most would have inclined towards the other one. That means they've quoted that incident over this one. So the choices of the Mufassirun, which one was the revelation, which was the cause for the revelation of this particular ayat, or these few ayat. But both are valid, and both are completely, fine, no problem with that. So what happened, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his blessed practice was that after Asr prayer, he would just go to each of the houses. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at one time had 9 wives living close to the Masjid al-Nabawi. So the houses were like one room, literally. It's like one room house, a chamber. That's why they're called Hujurat, Surah Hujurat. So Hujurat, because the houses are built on both sides of the Masjid. So he could, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, go and visit them without much trouble. But they were not very far from the Masjid. Obviously, Masjid were small, and then the houses. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam after Asr would go to each of those houses just to find out, hello, hi, anything that you need, because then he would have fulfilled that need, bring whatever need, issues or whatever they want to discuss, and then he would go to the wife that he needs to spend his night with. So Zainab bint Jahash radhiyallahu anha, she was gifted with some honey, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam liked that. So as he went to her house, she offered that to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, had it, and he quite liked it. When you have honey, there's a special way of drinking it and eating it. It's like you just mix some with water, with whichever way. You enjoy that. So normally, if you spend say a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, it took a little bit longer. Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha noticed Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is spending more time, and they realized, within a day or so, Zainab got a special honey, and this is the sign of love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for each of the wives. Now remember this very important point. Obviously we do not see this happening because there's no co-wives. A wife would love the husband, and if she truly loves the husband, she would have jealousy for anyone else who would come in between this relationship. Now the co-wives are expecting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be with them, but they're finding that he is gravitated a little bit more towards one. It's a sign of natural love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to not want that. And this is what do we do? So the Sayyidah Aisha radhiyallahu anha and Sayyidah Hafsa radiallahu ta'ala, they were on one side. There were Sahabiyat, the Azwaj Mutahharat has two teams, the two groups. Zainab bint Jahash was the leader of another group. He happened to be Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's first cousin, and he was from that family, obviously, so she has got quite a status as well. Say that Aisha was the most beloved and very intelligent, and she was wife before Zainab, so she had quite a lot of strength and power. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved her the most. And Hafsa, the daughter of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala, they were best friends since beginning. They were very well knitted. So few other on this side and few on this side. So there were two rival groups, so to say, in a positive way, in a way that is natural between co-wives. So they say Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha then said, Hafsa, let's just find a way of making sure that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam doesn't spend that much time there. Now, it was done as a, called the pleasantry between husband and wife, between co-wives. It's like a family matter. Now, if this happened, if I had two wives or you had two wives, it happened to you, that was something that one has done against someone else, would there be any problem at all? No, this is completely family matter. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had two different roles with the wives. Number one, he was a prophet for them as a role model. That is why when you hear certain stories, certain ahadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is actively teaching the wives, or the wives are asking questions and understanding in order to make sure that it has gone down to ummah subsequently. But there's another dimension, another link, which we forget, that they're husband and wife as well. And there's completely different chemistry there, different style, different way of dealing with each other. So many a thing that you look at that and say, oh, if you imagine Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and just look at him as a prophet in that relationship, you might find, oh, this is not appropriate. How could you do that to a prophet? Because that would actually push you away. And that's where people get confused and they start charging Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's wife. How come did they said this to Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? This is not befitting, and it is not befitting as a prophet. As a husband, completely fitting. Not just fitting, it's completely okay. That is why there's no blame on that. So remember that the relationship between husband and wife is way different than any other relationship. And unfortunately, people do not understand that. That is why this is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best of the creation, and this is a sign of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam being, and this is one of the miracles of the true Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a miracle of a man, that his wives, 11 of them, you can spend time with them, you can ask them details and everything, and you would find the man is of such eminence that he would try to please these wives and keep them happy, and he would literally go, so to say metaphorically, out of his way to please them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to intervene. Don't do something to please your wife. Allah has made it halal for you, it was good for you, why would you make it haram on you? So what happened, Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, Sayyidah Hafsa, they then said, you know what, there's one way. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes to me, I would say, oh Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you can smell maghafir. Maghafir is a type of flower which grows there, and there are other flowers likewise. And they tend to smell not very nice, and generally people would know a strong smell of that flower. People wouldn't like it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was so particular about smell that he would not like at all. If anyone were to say that, oh, there's a smell coming, so obviously you would know where the smell is coming from. So as Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha in the evening, said, oh ya Rasulullah, oh, have you had maghafir? I said, no. Oh, okay, fine. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to Hafsa's house next time. She said, oh, ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, have you had maghafir? I said, no, I just had honey. And then it just dawned to him, maybe the honey bee must have, taken some sap, some juice from that particular flower, maghafir, and mixed with the honey. Although I love it and like it, but that smell I can't. If someone can smell that. So he said, I'm never going to ever have this honey ever. He made it haram on him because he didn't like it, the smell. And that was, it was just a general pleasantry between wives, a sort of trying to, get the attraction back. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is gravitating towards one, pull him back our side so that he doesn't spend that much time, because Zainab is having more time with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So to look at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would not be there when he is on this particular wife's turn. It's not that he's there for 24 hours. When people say quality time, spending more time with family, or they demand more, I say to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best model. He said, I'm the best with my wives. How many wives? 9 wives. How many days a week with each? After 9 days, you would get second term with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if you come every week, well, every day back to your home, you're doing a lot more anyway. But the quality time concept, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would be there. Yeah, he will be kind and careful and loving and compassionate. This is what we need to do. What the problem we have is that we come every day, and yet we have no relationship. We have no good bond. So one has to have sort of decency, not taking things as I am doctor, I'm imam, I'm sheikh, I'm teacher, I'm accountant, I'm whatever I am. Having the same CEO level status and then coming to your wife, that should be just standing up, yes sir, whatever, at your service, my lord. It doesn't work like that. Husband and wife are different. There's no sheikh, no teacher, no man, nothing. You are just, if anything, perhaps slave. That is the role you can assume. As your boss make you slave or servant, so to say. Assume that and you'll be fine. Don't try. This is not manhood to show your muscles inside the house. Only show it in the matter of Sharia, in a positive way. Cajole them into following Sharia rather than pushing them with your bad character. So women will be women. So behave nicely. Anyway, so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in order to please them, made this haram. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this particular surah, and surah is named after this word, at-Tahreem, because this is the word which was mentioned in the beginning of the surah. Now there's another incident, but inshallah ta'ala we touch upon that tomorrow.